Hello and welcome. My name is Ajaxpost, and today you are joining me for what is going to be the very last, yes, we've decided to call it a day, after 6 exciting and quite unique months of the Transport Fever 2 Cinders Cup collaboration. 4 of us remaining collaborators, not forgetting M4J Gaming, who unfortunately had to pull out the series after the first 4 episodes, and we're still going on, and we are now coming to the conclusion. We are wrapping up this exciting and exotic series, and I thought I would start at the very southernmost tip of Calabria, and I think this is where I started my first episode, is looking at our headquarters for the Collabrian Adventure, the Collabrian government. Apparently they don't need much building work or administration space. I suppose that everything's in this one big office. So here we are. This is a very impressive, it's not the most impressive office block you can get in Transport Fever 2, but it's a pretty darned impressive site nonetheless. Oh, you can see through the windows. What a beautiful view. And that is all thanks to Stephen Spry, the game master for this series, and also the magnificent map maker of this. Well, the map's magnificent. I'm not sure I should say the same thing about Stephen. I don't know him that well, but there you go. So where are we? We are wrapping up. So all 4 of us, that was myself, Rickbo Baggins, Vanham Gaming, and of course Stephen Spry, will be producing recap review episodes, and perhaps a little bit of extra sort of tinkering and tidying up work, which we may want to do to finish off our episodes. I'm going to be doing that. Yeah, definitely. And I've already lost my place on the map. It is such a big map. I think I don't know where I am. I'm lost. I think is that Red Bend? If I turn the UI on, of course, I could tell. This is where we are, St Albans. Yes, we are back. And there is my lovely new airport, taking passengers across the entirety of the land. Usually much more efficiently than the Trans-Collabrian Express, the passenger service, which was there to start with. If you remember way back when, 6 months ago, in our first episodes, we introduced the Trans-Collabrian Express, the only railway service I think that was running at the time, carrying passengers from one end to the other of this magnificent area. And we've been building our own 4 regions of St Albans, which is where I am here, Northbridge, further up north, Red Bend down the middle, and right at the bottom where we started, South Bank. And what I'm going to do today for my recap episode is there are a couple of things that I want to finish off, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do those both in speed build, and I will give you some commentary as we're going through that before I get into a sort of proper sort of thinking about and what I've taken away from being part of this wonderful collaboration and at times competition as well. And we'll wrap this series up, and that will be it for the Cinders Cup. For now, I don't know, will it come back? Who knows what will happen with this map. But anyway, let's get the UI back in before I get too carried away. Now, we have actually moved on. Well, I've moved on to 1950, and I don't know if the other guys have done that as well. We usually do roll forward 10 years for each new round of episodes, so I thought I would do that. And everything is looking quite good. I've made a couple of changes to the map. What I've done, ooh, look at that. Oh, isn't that a magnificent train? What is that? You ask. Well, most of you will know. That is an Alco PA. That is the new Trans-Collabrian Express. Yeah, I thought that old steam engine was getting way too out of date, out of touch. It just wasn't up to the mark. So I put these on. They are unfortunately very expensive to run. And as you can see here, for a few years after I turned it, if I changed the steam engine to the Alco, it lost a lot of money. But I think overall the line, 2.5 million. I think the line, is still losing money. It does get better, I think. It does get better when I played on, because what I've done to help improve this, because I think the problem with the Trans-Collabrian Express, as we can see here, it sits around waiting at stations, not just for the other. I mean, what's that one waiting for? Where's it trying to go? Oh, I've changed the colour to yellow. I did that because I've done something else with the line. It's waiting for that to get out of the way, that freight train, you see. It's getting held up, it's a bit too slow, and these trains can actually go, I think, a bit faster. 93 miles an hour. So what I've also done is I've upgraded all the passenger line for the Trans-Calabrian to high-speed rail. I'm actually going to be changing it again as we go through this episode. And I've also actually made the consist slightly smaller, so it's carrying just 108. But it will... Lovely, thank you. It will turn into profit at some point during this episode, I hope. So that's one thing I've done. I've high-speed tracked the Collabrian Express. I've also made some other changes to some of the bus services within different towns across the whole map. So some were still running L'Aubusson passenger buses, and I think that's just too old-fashioned. So I've dealt with that, put those in. I've changed those up to more modern vehicles. The other thing I've done is we were getting issues with the St Albans steel mill here not getting enough coal. It's getting loads and loads of ore. It's not... some of it coming from Lutterworth or somewhere. Actually, if I look here, it can tell me. Somewhere South Bank. I think it was getting ore from South Bank, which we didn't expect. But I think that was Stephen Spry. Oh no, that was Northbridge, wasn't it? I think Stevens dealt with that. So it's getting lots of ore from my mines near Hetton Le Hole, but it's not getting much coal. So what I've done is I've expanded this train station and also plugged in this other mine here using trucks to cart the coal across. Now unfortunately it's not picking up production very quickly at the moment in this mine. So what I've also done is I've re-enabled coal shipments on the Trans-Calabrian cargo route, which I think I disabled. I stopped it picking up coal from St Albans in the last episode. I've re-enabled that to improve demand from this mine. Okay, it's not. Oh, maybe that... No, maybe I've not done that. Maybe it's one of those things that I played with doing, but I haven't actually done yet in this particular save. So let's have a look at that. Manage that line. St Albans. We want to... Oh, we are picking up coal, yeah. So it just needs to spot that and get coal coming out. And that should provide lots of coal for the new trains on the coal bulk route, which again are Alcos, and they're using a new gondola to carry that. There's only 3 of them on... Sorry, there's only 2 of them. There used to be 3. There's only 2 of them on that route now. And they're just about keeping up. Or maybe they're not. They're just about keeping up, I think. If once this other coal mine gets really pumping out coal, I will extend these trains, make them a little bit longer, for which I've actually already increased the length of this station to cope with that. But I think having 2 trains makes my life a bit easier because it was getting very congested around this Y. So we've got the St Albans local deliveries, which is taking stuff out of here into St Albans and onwards throughout our region. There's also the food bulk line. So there's at least 5, 6, 7 trains, if not more, coming in here into St Albans West and trying to reverse into the Y and come out is get very congested. So taking a train off the coal bulk route, I think, might help that a little bit. Anyway, what else have I done? I think that's about it. Oh, the aeroplanes. I've actually changed these up. And look at my airlines. This is my save. I've not incorporated anything that the other guys have done in their previous episodes. So I think Rickbo and also Van Ham added aircraft into their networks. Though I don't think Van Ham's aircraft landed at St Albans. He was just going straight from South Bank to Northbridge. But I think Rickbo actually did put his airport in very much the same place I have. Slightly different orientation. But anyway, so what I've done is I've actually changed these aircraft. They are now DC4s, so they can carry 15 as opposed to the old DC3s. Yep, which we had originally, which only carry 10. So on these very busy routes like the one to Northbridge, I've added another 2 planes and increased the capacity by putting the DC4s on. And I think also to South Bank, which is our longest route, again I put the DC4 on there, yeah, which goes faster. And as you can see, they're all making a fair amount of money, and that will carry on. In the last episode, if you saw that, one thing I was thinking I might have been able to do in that episode was to actually connect up passenger services to Oakham and Aldridge. I never got around to doing that because the airport construction and the rest of it did take me just a little bit too long, so I didn't have time to do that. So that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to wrap that up. So we got passenger connections from St Albans to all the towns in our region. So we're going to put a new train station in, and that's going to come from the airport here, which was kind of the thing I decided going into the last episode might work better, because Aldridge is very high up in the hills, as is indeed is Oakham, and getting from the main St Albans station is a bit of a trial, to be honest. So I thought if we connect to the airport, that will work better. I think we'll have slightly less of an incline to deal with. So we're going to do that. What I'm also going to do in this episode is connect up by rail Didcot and Newland. They've been left out to their own devices. They've got a bus service between them, but that's about it, apart from a cargo train which comes in to deliver goods and services into Newland. Didcot is kind of out on its own, really. So we're going to put a train service into that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do all that as speed build. So I'm going to now start doing a lot of major reworking of various bits of my network here. And we'll see the completion of St Albans development here in Calabria. I should say out of the gate that I have actually done these routes already. I've sort of done a playthrough which completes both these routes. But strangely enough, doing something on a recording always turns out differently to what you actually do offline and without having to talk about it or even just record it. But anyway, the first thing we're doing here is connecting our railway station into St Albans Airport, and this is where I first start getting to grips with the gradients and the slopes around the airport. So I make a bit of an attempt to get everything levelled out, so the station, the tracks and everything that's involved in that is all on the level. Doesn't work terribly well, as I discover trying to get the tram stop connected as well back to the main road and over the railway. Eventually deciding I need to move it, which what I did when I planned this thing out. Well, when I did this, planning is different. Doing it again, they're all different. But anyway, so moving that along, which should give me a better way of connecting the train tracks around the airport, because that's what we're going to be doing, and that all seems to connect up. But as we will see, yeah, it still takes a fair amount of effort to get this. And fences, yeah, I know if I had the build with collision mod enabled, I could drive straight through fences and ignore them, and then taking out the one or two that need to be taken out as if they were a gate. But I don't use that mod, so I have to remove the fences manually, as we see there. Just going around the airport. Can we get that done? Looks alright. Perhaps I should have flattened out a bit more. Okay, looks a bit odd. And there's one steep sort of embankment alongside those houses. I'm sure they don't mind having windows facing onto simply a wall of rock, basically, isn't it? And I'm using one-way roads. To be honest, when I did this, I wasn't aware that we had one-way roads. We're in 1950. And it hadn't occurred to me that we had one-way roads at this point, so I was quite happy that we have. They I think make this a little bit easier to do, maybe. You've got to make sure you actually have the one-way roads all connected, going in the same direction, which you can do if you lay a length of one-way road going in the wrong direction. You can right-click on it and it will switch directions, so you can make sure everything is flowing properly. Now this is where things get really messy, because despite having done this before, I know there's a fair amount of incline and gradient work to deal with just to get up to Oakham. So what I'm doing here is I worked out, when I finished my preparation for doing this, I worked out the sort of heights I wanted for the various stations along the route. So I'm trying to get the ground to that sort of level. And not terribly successfully, to be honest, as we can see here, but I get there eventually. So yeah, this may be a bit of a Yeah, it's a bit of a grind. I've actually cut most of it out, even though we are speeding through it at a fair old lick. I have cut a chunk of this out because it took me a while to get the gradients right so that this could get up without too much slope. Yeah, roads are always in the way. That's my main issue. So I'm assuming the roads are what was causing me to actually need, or to actually get that too much slope issue, because it tried to level the ground along the road. But I don't think that was simply it. It is just too high, despite the fact that I think I've got the same heights as I had in my pre-recorded sort of play on sequence that I did. There you are, I've cut out a chunk. So we finally decided if we move the station further along, then we should be able to get the track up from St Albans without those nasty slope issues. I'm just messing around here, just desperately trying to get, that's it, the right height, the height that I wanted to come in here, which as you can see is actually significantly lower than the main amount of the town. The town itself is of Oakham is somewhat higher than the station, which might give me problems with roads a bit later on. Looks a bit too curvy. That come up with a better solution. Yeah. Oh, remember to electrify. That's it. And yeah, move the station along so you've got more time to curve into it. Good thinking. And there you can see the amount of digging we had to do to get that station in. And that works out lovely. Touch a dab of smoothing. Yep, that will do nicely. And let's see if we can connect this beastie up to the town without looking too awful. That should be alright. That looks good. Keep it nice and flat. And a curvy road. That works better. That doesn't look too bad actually. Well, that one did, so we'll move it out a bit. There we go. That looks smoother. Yep, and we just now need to go from Oakham to Aldridge. Now Aldridge I did when I built the station put in a line for a platform for the passenger routes to come in, so I just need to connect that up now to Oakham. Let's get that in there. We just need one. Again, we've got a loop around here just like we will have around the airport, so the trains don't reverse out, they can just carry on right round. And we just need to make sure we can connect from the loop back onto the track that will take us back on the passenger line. So the freight line and the passenger lines are completely separated there at on the approach to Aldridge, with the exception of a little bit of a crossover. Well, that's nice, but a bit too much of a tunnel. I want this to be a bit more scenic, so just dig a hole. Yep, that's the answer to that particular quandary. More roads getting in the way. That's easily dealt with. I don't think there's a level crossing in that tunnel. No, I think they're at different heights. I do so wish, as and when we get the Transport Fever 3 coming out. Now we don't actually know for certain, but that is what Urban Games are working on. But the anticipation is there. Now, they have announced they will announce something reasonably soon, but we don't know quite how soon that will be. And we all hope, because when they did Transport Fever 1, following on from the success of Train Fever, they did say their stated aim of the company was to create the ultimate train game kind of thing. Simulator, not a simulator as such, but a tycoon kind of game, and they're doing pretty well so far, I reckon. I know there's a dispute in the community about how well they're doing in terms of simulation aspects and the tycoon aspects. It's all a compromise, but we're playing a game, so yeah, if it was real life, it probably wouldn't be quite so much fun, unless you love driving trains or managing companies perhaps. But anyway, I'm getting off the subject. Putting some of the roads back in just to make sure that my industries can actually carry on working, having disrupted their flow, and getting our preferred bridges in. Nice. Perhaps we'll smooth this out. That should look a little bit better. A little bit of land reclamation coming in. You see it's looping around there, and that's it all connecting the passenger route, sorry, the passenger platform to the loop, and that will cross over into there at some point. That will do the job. Go on, can do it quite nicely. So there's a little bit of dual running where passenger and the freight intermingle, but it really is just around that loop. And yeah, create our line, which to St Albans, Oakham, Aldridge, back through Oakham, and then returning to St Albans, and with a little bit of signalling magic, it realises what route to take. It gets that sorted out very nicely indeed. Then we just set up some bus stations, bus stops and bus routes. I'll skip past this if you don't mind, just to shave a minute or so off the full length of this video, which might turn out to be longer than I anticipated. It will come back in a second when we've got all the bus routes done. So there we are. The bus routes all connected in Aldridge and Oakham. Buses applied to each town. They're not terribly big, but bus route will ensure that everyone can get to the station and no one is left out of the joy of travelling on our new St Albans up into the hills train route. Oh, did I not do all the signals? Oh, so the game actually worked it out, the route out itself without signals. How awesome. Get those in place. A little bit of auto signalling magic. I really do like that mod. It makes my life so much easier. And we're using this sexy, but very efficient multi-unit electric passenger train. And that takes us on down to St Albans. And it's a really nice looking bit of track here. We're going to follow, there we are, a little bit of follow along. We'll do more of this at the end of the episode. We'll do a proper cab ride thing at the end of the episode. But here we are pulling in on our inaugural run into Oakham and following on to St Albans. It's called St Albans Station 2 at the moment. That will change. But as you can see, this is a fabulous vista looking down over our capital city of St Albans and the industries thereof, as we head down towards the airport. Beautiful. And so we move on to connecting Didcot and Newland to St Albans. Now again, I had done this. I did an off-camera preparation for this and got a route that worked. And then of course when I come to record it, the first thing I think of, oh hang on, this other route works. This is what I'm doing here. I'm thinking of another more direct route from the airport to Didcot. And I'm thinking, do I want to go from the airport? Do I want the airport to be a connection between these distant cities? Is that where I want the connection to be? And then eventually decide, no. Stop faffing around, man. Stop fiddling with good ideas and stick with the thing you thought of first. So, which was here, to connect the other side of the water, the other side of the river, Didcot and Newland, to our main station at St Albans. Of course, the issue here is congestion. We've got the freight trains, we've got two existing passenger services as well, the Collabrian Express and the Red Bend St Albans link, I think, which was put down. So the first thing I'm doing is getting rid of some old unnecessary cargo buildings off one side of the platform, off one side of the station. They do exist at the other end of this platform. You might have seen them as we were coming into this. So I can create an extra bay platform here solely for the use of those two towns on the other side of the river. I thought, could I put another cargo building in there? No, it just looks out of place. So I just put a little ramp. Not sure why, but I did. And of course this route is also going to be electric. And the thinking here was, A, I want it to be electric, and B, also, these trains are double-headed. They've got cabins. Well, they look like they got cabins. I don't know in reality if they did or not. I assume they did. They got cabins in both ends. So the train does not actually need to do a loop or go through a Y like our steam trains did to turn around. The driver just gets off and is either replaced or just walks to the other end of the platform and gets in the cabin at the other end of the train. So it's going straight in and straight out, basically, with a little bit of a wait for the driver to reposition himself at the other end of the train. So we're getting all this done here, and getting across the water. Here's our next problem. So it's connecting into these tracks here. And one of the issues we've got, of course, is that the passenger lines are on the inside. The high-speed tracks, as you can see there, they're on the inside of the freight line, so we need to cut across those, which again is going to be another congestion risk. Perhaps I should have brought it down from the airport instead, would have saved all this. But I like this, it worked. Gap in the bridge, that won't work. Don't worry, I do spot it myself shortly. Well, when I speed the video up, it's shortly. It took me several minutes. There you are, get rid of it. So there's no problem anymore. So get this across here. And again, we're going to have problems with roads. I'm thinking, one of the reasons I put the track there is I'm thinking we could end up with freight stations or some other cargo stations there, train stations, for those industries there, the farm, the plastics and whatever else it was that was there, the fuel, I think. So we could spin a freight service off there as well. Though to be honest, that probably makes more sense to go to the water, to have a port there serving that. Which is why all my bridges need to be above the water sufficiently to make them navigable by our boat. And look, roads, no, out the way, thank you very much. Yeah, I'm not sure I planned this terribly well. I do plan, it's just that I then change my mind as soon as I start implementing it. So here we are, going around there, that's fine, just need to get rid of that. Another stretch of road. I do replace all these roads, don't worry, they are put back. They may be bigger or better, they may be longer, more inconvenient routes, but they're there for road traffic. And again, because we're using a multi-headed train, we don't need to worry about a loop, which is what I had when I first put this up. Oh, I'm thinking here, can I actually get up to Newland? The incline is just too much, I think. We could probably go round the mountain to get up to the other side of Newland where the freight station is, but I decided no, they're close enough, a good bus service will do. And indeed it does. I think I've proven that, as hopefully we'll see when we come to review this at the end of the video. Yeah, put these rows back. Yeah, okay, can we get it under now? Get it under the track. A little bit of shift down and shift up to get the level right. That should work perfectly. Yeah, even upgrade the road. See, I'm not just a transport company. No, okay, I keep the whole infrastructure of my region running perfectly. Yeah, do remember, one thing I've learnt in this collaboration is the value of levelling first, rather than building something, realising it's a totally different height to the rest of the environment, and then having to level things up. So that's certainly one of my, using that awful, disgusting, unpleasant phrase, learnings from this collaboration, is level up first and then build. Then just obviously I will discover that I haven't levelled up enough, I've levelled too much, but you know, that's the price you pay. That bit of road there looks really unpleasant. I would have got away with that, I would have let that pass, but doing it in full view of my Collabrian collaborators and their attention to detail, I thought, okay, paint, but also, no, that road is not acceptable, thank you, go away. Can put it back, sort of, and it's, do I put it back? Maybe I don't. No, maybe I don't. I'm sure I did. Let's get that bus route between Didcot and Newland diverted via the train station, so they can all go through there. And that bus route does become very, very busy. I do put it back in, I knew I did. I just need to make sure buses don't do something silly and go through one way like all my road stations should. And there we are. So back to our depot in St Albans. The track is laid, the stations are in place. We just now need to make sure that we can get an electrified train through to that side of the water. It looks like I'm doing this right, doesn't it? But I'm not. I have to redo a little bit of this electrification to get the trains working, as we'll see in a second. Ooh, and remember, paint them orange, St Albans orange. No, it can't do it. Can you find it? Yeah, you will. I think that some of them were double slip junctions needed because not everything was double slipped there. There you go, missed electrification. Gotcha. The suspicion actually what I was doing was ensuring I had high speed down, not electrification. But it's all done now. We have a train what is running. And then my game crashed. Oh no! It doesn't happen very often on my system at all. For whatever reason, I'm usually immune-ish to game crashes, but it did so in this last episode of my Cinders Cup collaboration. Thankfully, it had autosave just a few minutes earlier, so I didn't have too much to redo at all. So what we've done is I have completed the changes I made, which were pretty much done anyway by the time the game crashed, as you saw. I've moved on a bit. I've played an hour or so, perhaps more, and tidied up a few things so that I can finally show off how the route is doing. And it's doing very well. As you can see, it's a lovely orange and it's going over the river here. There's no traffic here. If I were to continue this, I would probably put traffic on that river, more traffic, well, this end of the river anyway. But that is lovely, isn't it? The 3 bridges, is it 3 or 2? There's bridges over the river going through St Albans anyway. But I think that's it from me, actually. So we will complete our journey here. What I'm going to do is we're going to try and find someone at either end of our routes and follow them as they make their journey across our region and perhaps to some other region as well. Oh, that needs smoothing, doesn't it? I'll do that now, shall I, before the game gets too carried away. So terrain tools, a little bit of smoothing, and there you go. Just finish that off. It looks a little bit nicer. Maybe, maybe not, who knows. I've even ballasted the track as it goes through the wheat field here. Yeah, because I thought wheat growing through the centre of your track probably isn't the most efficient way of running a railway, to be honest. But there you go. The train, this route is picking up lots of passengers. The other route is also picking up lots of passengers. Should we have a quick look at that before I hand over to the cab ride? So let's have a look at this. So all my SA routes here. There we go. And you're just pulling in. We'll wait for you to pull in. You're only carrying 21 from St Albans. More people want to go back though from Didcot and Newland. So you made me 201,000. Not bad. And you're going to fill up with another 60 people, I imagine, going back. Quite easily. Quite easily. So where are we? We are making... Look, these are all my routes. Really? Only one that's losing money. There's our local bus in Aldridge. But it's a very small town, so... Oh, this is jolly impressive. The food bulk is earning 3 million. The aeroplanes are earning multi-millions. This is beautiful. Wow, I wasn't expecting it to be quite so blue. That is awesome. Anyway, so that's the Didcot Newland. Basically, there's the bus route. Yeah, I've actually upgraded those buses as well now. Yeah, because that's a very busy line as well. Yeah, very busy indeed. We've got trains going back from Didcot to the centre here, to our little bay platform at St Albans. 25, that's not too bad. There's still a lot of congestion there, unfortunately. Now, if I were to play on, I might attempt to alleviate that somehow. I'm not quite sure how, but I might. Well, there are 3 bridges over the river. Well, in fact, there's 4, one over there as well. But there you go. And our line going up to Aldridge, again, nicely profitable. That's doing really good business. Ooh, loads of people there. I could perhaps add another train or make those trains bigger. Yeah, the trouble is there aren't so many. It's always the way, isn't it? There aren't so many people from either end necessarily, but the people in the middle, or the town in the middle, is always, well, not always, but often very, very busy. In fact, has Oakham grown? Yes, it has. Has Aldridge grown? This is without... Yes, it has, without cargo coming into those cities either. But there you are. I think we're doing very nicely indeed. So what I'm going to do is we're going to try and find somebody. Perhaps somebody up here in Newland. Yeah, unfortunately this stop is very busy. So I don't want to pick someone from there. Is there someone at one of these stops? So there you go. So if we come to Church Street here. Oh, any of you people, let's pause it for a second. Where are you going? You're going to residential in St Albans. You're not going far enough. I want you to go further than St Albans. So you're going to residential in St Albans. And who's this? It's an entirely female waiting queue here, isn't it? That's right, you're going to residential in Didcot. Oh, you're not terribly exciting, are you? Is there any other stop here? I've got to stop here. And no, I'll stop faffing around here. Oh, another lady. Residential in Didcot. Okay, what I'm going to do is we're going to try and find somebody, perhaps I should look at the other end of the map, who wants to travel across our region, if not outside it. And then we'll follow them as they make their journey via the various modes of transport we've got to the other end of the map. And while we're following them, I will just wrap up my thoughts and feelings about this collaboration with Stephen Spry, Van Ham Gaming, Rickbo Baggins, and of course at the beginning we also had M4J Gaming. So I will find someone to follow and I'll be back with you in just the flip of a sexy video effect. Wonderful, we have found someone, the lovely Katie Green, who is a resident of Aldridge, up here on the far edge of my region of St Albans, and she wants to go shopping. She's off to the commercial district in Newland, which means she's got quite the journey ahead of her, by train, by tram, by train, by bus, all sorts of things. Unfortunately not boat, not aeroplane, but we can't have everything. And we'll follow her along all the way until she reaches her destination. In the meantime though, I'm going to be wrapping up my thoughts on the Cinders Cup by first off saying thank you all so much for joining us for the last 6 months. These 10 episodes, in all, well, 10 from each of us creators over the 6 months. It has been quite the ride. Now, I remember back in May-ish 2024, possibly a bit earlier than that. Anyway, late spring, early summer, Stephen Spry got in touch, touched base as we often say, with a number of us YouTube Transport Fever 2 creators, and wondered if any of us would be interested in sharing a map, collaborating, competing maybe even, on a map in Transport Fever 2 for a number of weeks, months, or however long it would last. Now, I'm not naturally a multiplayer person, so the idea of being committed and in a sense obliged to provide content and share time with these other creators was a little bit of a challenge for me personally. But I thought, why not? Give it a go. It's not real-time live play, so we might get away with it. And by goodness, haven't we just? So 5 of us were there to start with. Stephen, of course, who created this whole thing, and huge thanks must go out to him, of course, first off, for not only organising the creators to be part of this, but designing this amazing map we've all been playing on, and then coordinating the series of tests and the development of the series over these last 6 months. So yes, we started off 5 of us, Stephen Spry, M4J Gaming, who unfortunately dropped out of the series around episode 4 if I remember correctly, Rickbo Baggins, Van Ham Gaming, and of course myself. And well, it's been wonderful actually, because I've had a chance to spend time watching in detail my collaborators and how they play the game differently to the way I play it. So in particular I'm thinking of Rickbo and Van Ham, who are master detailers. Not that Stephen and M4J weren't, of course, but I think that they really show me what can be done. Rickbo is magnificent at creating industrial sites and detailing its stations and so on. Quite something to behold. And Van Ham, some of the ports he's designed within his region of South Bank, yeah, are a joy to behold and put my meagre efforts to shame. Detailing is not something I do on camera because I'm just too slow and, well, maybe not imaginative enough. I don't know, but that has been wonderful. And then we've got Stephen, who is, I'm going to call him the master of the cargo rate. He's spent quite some time analysing how cargo is delivered and the best, most efficient way of making money from your cargo routes. And he's really got that down to a fine art now, a science even, which might explain why he won all 4 of our tests. Did we do 4 tests? I've forgotten already. 4 tests, there were 4. Because he's had that laser focus on getting the most efficient routes out of his industries into his towns. And we just sat back in awe at how well he achieved those results. And then, just thinking back again, I mean, they've all done it, but M4J was, for me, the first example of this, is not being afraid to create big road stations, in particular road stations with multiple platforms, and making a lot of use of alternate platform selection, so you got the best out of your routes. So they picked up as much cargo as they could, as quickly as they could, by going through. And again, I think most of the other players, it's not something I tended to do, really lent into the putting loads of vehicles onto a route, particularly again in the early game road vehicles, where you just need to get all that cargo shipped so you could make money and start developing the secondary and tertiary industries in those industrial chains. So that was something, again, something else I've picked up on, is not being afraid to put loads of platforms, use the alternates, and loads of road vehicles, certainly for cargo anyway, to get the best out of those routes. And if it wasn't just that, if it wasn't just their skill at using the game to create something special and sort of personalised to them, each of them have provided, I think, in fact hopefully all of us have provided you, the dear viewer, with a series of real fun, entertaining, and perhaps even at some points educational videos as part of this series. I mean, I've certainly learnt a few things along the way as well, and remembering to, for example, flatten the landscape before you put down your big infrastructure. Yeah, I was always leaving the levelling out, the landscaping out. It's difficult in the early game, obviously we know that, but if we can get it done, it makes developing and connecting your site so much easier if you get the landscape right to start with. Don't be afraid of that. So that's it. The final thing I want to say is to thank you, the viewer, for being part of this and supporting all of us. I mean, I've picked up a number of new subscribers. Thank you so much for joining and subscribing to the channel. Hope you stay with me. Maybe no more Cinders Cup, Calabria, but a good deal more Transport Fever 2 coming, and maybe at some point in the future we might even see Transport Fever 3. That will certainly be on this channel as well, no question of that. So thank you, not just for watching my videos, but for joining in and watching and commenting and liking and doing all the good stuff and interacting with the four of us remaining in this collaboration series. We've all really enjoyed connecting with you and hearing your thoughts on our particular videos and on the series as a whole. So from me, Ajaxpost, thank you so much for being part of this, and a huge thank you as well to my collaborators Stephen, Van Ham, Rigbo, and of course not forgetting back in the earlier days M4J, Mark, for being part of this and giving me the opportunity to discover new ways to use and exploit and have fun with Transport Fever 2. And that's it from me, Ajaxpost, here in Transport Fever 2 for the final episode of the Cinders Cup on my channel. Don't forget to watch the others as well. We're all racing on the 4th of January 2025 as we all look forward to an exciting new year. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to like, and if you've not already, subscribe, and of course, best of all, if you have something to say about what we're doing with the game, how we've done with the series, what you look forward to in Transport Fever 2, or maybe even Transport Fever 3, should it come, hopefully this year, who knows, November, December, we're looking to those dates. Nope, I've no idea. Anyway, well, thank you so much. Hope to hear from you again with future videos. But from me, Ajaxpost, until the next time, bye bye for now.
angoisse aujourd'hui semblable à une angoisse du passé. L'angoisse m'apparaît être comme une émotion qui surgit dans certaines circonstances de notre relation avec un milieu. Ce milieu, ça peut être simplement le milieu naturel, et il y a les risques de la mort qui nous attendent au détour du chemin, mais il y a aussi le milieu historique, et l'angoisse est le produit de cette rencontre de nous-mêmes avec un milieu auquel nous savons comment répondre. Expliquer sur le fait que nous parlons du vivant et non pas de la vie. Pour quelle raison? La vie, c'est d'abord un concept